The battlefield was a shattered landscape of scorched earth and twisted metal. Deep craters pockmarked the ground, marking where the first wave of the alien bombardment had struck. The night sky was ablaze with flares and tracer fire, while the air was thick with the acrid scent of ozone and smoldering ruins. On the front lines, human soldiers huddled in trenches, their faces smeared with mud and sweat as explosions erupted around them like chaotic fireworks. Captain Eliza Rodriguez wiped grime from her brow, her gaze fixed on the enemy forces amassed across the field. The Klaxi had come to conquer Earth, believing humanity would be easily subdued. They thought the species too fragile and disorganized to mount any significant resistance. "Captain, the enemy is preparing another offensive," came the grim voice of Lieutenant Mason, scanning the Klaxi ranks through his thermal binoculars. "Looks like heavy infantry supported by aerial gunships. This will be their big push." Eliza's jaw tightened as she observed the Klaxi formations. The insectoid warriors, towering over the battlefield with their armored carapaces, began their advance accompanied by the ominous hum of their gunships above. Their weapons glowed with a sickly green light, powered by some unknown alien energy. "Signal Bravo Company to move into position," Eliza ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We'll hold this line or die trying." The soldiers around her adjusted their grips on their rifles, fingers poised above triggers. Their breaths were slow and measured, but beneath the veneer of calm was a simmering fury, a refusal to yield in the face of an enemy who had underestimated their resolve. As the Klaxi warriors approached within range, Eliza gave the command, "Fire." The night was split by the blaze of human artillery and rifle fire. Shells screamed through the air, slamming into the alien ranks and sending bodies flying in every direction. High-caliber bullets peppered the Klaxi vanguard, punching through their armored exoskeletons with shocking ease. The gunships descended, strafing the trenches with energy beams that left trails of smoking craters in their wake. Eliza ducked, pulling Mason down beside her as the barrage rained down on their position. "Return fire. Take out those gunships," she yelled, gesturing toward a group of soldiers armed with shoulder-mounted missile launchers. The human soldiers fired a volley, the missiles streaking up toward the gunships in tight spirals. Several exploded in the air, enveloping the alien crafts in fireballs that lit up the night sky. The remaining gunships swerved and veered away, retreating to a safe distance. However, the Klaxi infantry continued their relentless advance, undeterred by the initial resistance. The ground quivered beneath their feet as they closed in on the human trenches, wielding energy blades that crackled with deadly intensity. But Eliza had prepared for this. She knew that the Klaxi were accustomed to swift conquest, and that their real weakness lay in their overconfidence. They believed their superior firepower and brute force would break human defenses. What they had not expected was the human ability to adapt. As the Klaxi warriors surged forward, Bravo Company emerged from hidden positions on their flanks, armed with cutting-edge railguns. With precision aim, they opened fire, tearing through the Klaxi ranks like paper. The aliens faltered, unsure of the new weapon's power and unable to regroup. "Hold the line," Eliza shouted, her voice rising above the gunfire. She grabbed her rifle and joined in the attack, her shots picking off the Klaxi soldiers who had escaped the first wave of fire. The ground became a melee of gunfire, blades, and broken bodies as the humans pushed back against the Klaxi tide. The enemy's ranks thinned as they were caught in the deadly crossfire, their bodies falling in heaps upon the smoldering soil. In the midst of the chaos, a Klaxi warrior lunged at Eliza, its energy blade slicing through the air. She twisted aside, narrowly avoiding the strike, and then delivered a quick burst to the alien's head, the bullets tearing through its exoskeleton. The creature crumpled to the ground with a wet thud. The humans pressed their advantage, flanking the Klaxi and hemming them in against their own shattered lines. Unable to withstand the combined assault from multiple directions, the aliens finally faltered, their formation collapsing into disarray. The surviving gunships attempted to provide cover for their retreating infantry, but the humans were relentless. Another volley of missiles streaked across the battlefield, finding their targets and reducing the remaining crafts to twisted wreckage. Eliza stood amidst the carnage, her breath ragged and her rifle still hot from the firefight. Around her, soldiers cheered and raised their fists in victory, but she remained focused. The battle was won, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Klaxi had thought humanity was weak, but this night had shown them the fire that burned in the human spirit. "Send a message to command," she said to Mason, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon where the remnants of the Klaxi fled into the night. "Tell them the Klaxi are retreating, but they'll be back. And when they come again, we'll be ready." In the days following their unexpected victory, New Horizon City transformed into a fortress. The once bustling metropolitan area, now scarred by the remnants of alien aggression, bristled with new defenses and a renewed sense of urgency. Captain Eliza Rodriguez became a central figure in the rebuilding efforts, both as a tactical leader and a symbol of human resilience. The human victory had been a wake-up call, not just for the Klaxi, but for humanity itself. Intelligence reports confirmed that the aliens were regrouping, their pride stung by the defeat inflicted by a species they had deemed inferior. Satellite imagery captured significant military buildups on Klaxi-controlled moons. It was clear the next encounter would be on a much grander scale. General Matthews, the overseer of Earth's defense forces, summoned Eliza to the Central Military Command. The war room, deep within a reinforced underground complex, buzzed with activity. Officers and analysts worked tirelessly, monitoring every piece of data streaming in from the front lines and spy satellites. "Captain Rodriguez, your tactics saved thousands and turned the tide against the Klaxi. We need that kind of thinking now more than ever," General Matthews said, gesturing toward a holographic map displaying troop movements and strategic points. "We're not just on defense anymore. We plan to meet them head-on, but we need a solid strategy." Eliza nodded, her mind already racing through various scenarios. "We learned a lot from the last encounter. Their technology is advanced, but not infallible. We exploited their overconfidence once, we can do it again. But this time, we need to be proactive." Together, they pored over the data. Eliza proposed a series of guerrilla attacks on Klaxi supply lines and communication networks, disruption tactics designed to unsettle the alien forces and delay their advance. General Matthews agreed, giving her the green light to assemble a specialized task force for the mission. As preparations for the counteroffensive ramped up, Eliza took to the field to train her hand-picked squad. These soldiers, drawn from various elite units, were skilled but untested in the kind of irregular warfare that Eliza envisioned. They trained in simulated environments, from dense urban landscapes to harsh, cratered surfaces resembling the Klaxi moons. "Remember, we're not just fighting for territory. We're fighting to keep our home safe. Every disruption we cause, every minute we gain, helps protect billions of lives back on Earth," Eliza briefed her team, instilling in them the gravity of their mission. Weeks of grueling training paid off. Eliza's team executed their first strike under the cover of darkness, infiltrating a Klaxi communication hub on one of their border moons. The operation was risky. The lunar base was heavily guarded and fortified. However, the element of surprise was on their side. The strike team disabled the hub with precision, planting explosives and retreating just before detonation. The explosion sent shockwaves through the Klaxi military networks, disrupting their operations and sowing confusion. News of the successful raid boosted morale across human military ranks and demonstrated the effectiveness of Eliza's unconventional strategies. Buoyed by this success, General Matthews authorized further raids. Eliza's team hit fuel depots, research facilities, and transport convoys. Each strike was a calculated blow to the Klaxi war effort, and with each success, the human forces grew bolder. Meanwhile, Earth's scientists worked feverishly to decode more of the Klaxi technology captured during the first invasion. Dr. Helen Choi, a brilliant engineer leading the research team, made a breakthrough with the alien energy shields. "We figured out how to disrupt their shield frequencies temporarily," she reported to Eliza during a secure briefing. "This could change everything." Eliza responded, realizing the potential of integrating this new knowledge into their combat strategies. With this advantage, they could potentially neutralize the Klaxis' main defensive strength in upcoming battles. As Earth's defense and offensive capabilities expanded, the Klaxi grew increasingly wary of their underestimated adversary. Reports of their delayed mass invasion puzzled analysts, but Eliza knew the reason. "They're afraid," she said during a high-level strategy meeting. "They've never faced an enemy like us, one that learns and adapts so quickly." Months of relentless pressure began to show signs of fracturing the once monolithic threat of the Klaxi. Small factions within their ranks debated the wisdom of continuing the war, leading to discord and delays that worked in humanity's favor. As the decisive battle approached, Eliza and her squad prepared for what could be the final confrontation. Armed with new weapons, shield-disrupting technology, and a united world behind them, they were ready to prove once more that humanity was far from weak. They were survivors, innovators, and fierce protectors of their home. The Klaxi had thought humans were weak, but they were about to be proven disastrously wrong.